Women past childbearing age should just step aside. Yes, give up the wife's seat to my young daughter. After all I had done for my husband, Scott, these shocking words awaited me. Scott, who betrayed my devotion. Just wait and see. You'll get what's coming to you. I'm Patricia, a 32-year-old office worker. My husband, Scott, is 40. We met through a matchmaking service and eventually got married. I'd always wanted to get married before turning 30. Everything went smoothly from our first meeting to our marriage. Even when we started dating, Scott was a perfect gentleman, and I often wondered why someone like him was even using a matchmaking service. I felt so lucky to have met a great person and gotten married. But once we started our married life, I began to fully understand why Scott had made it to 40 without marriage. Patricia, there's still dust here. And the bathroom better be free from water stains, too. Today, as usual, Scott's voice echoed throughout the house. Did you seal the vegetable peels and leftovers properly? Bugs will show up if you're not careful. Scott wasn't just neat. He was outright obsessive-compulsive about cleanliness, and I didn't exactly have spare time. Scott not only had me doing laundry and scrubbing every inch of the house, but also had me polishing the plumbing every day and micromanaging every little thing I threw away. His rules were strict, but that wasn't even the worst of it. Scott was demanding yet never lifted a finger himself, instead issuing orders for me to follow. Scott, I work full-time too, you know. You could help out a little with the cleaning. Here's a bathroom sponge for you. No way. Water splashes around, and I might get water stains or detergent on me. Housework is women's work. It's your duty to always keep the house clean and welcome your husband home. Oh, if only I'd known his true self before getting married. He seemed like some stereotypical, overbearing husband from a bygone era. I hadn't expected much from newlywed life, but being relentlessly pursued by cleanliness was exhausting. Even if we had kids, I could guarantee he'd never help with things like changing diapers. That realization made me lose interest in having children. And then Scott received a transfer. I couldn't accompany him, so he had to go alone. Truthfully, I felt relieved to have a break from Scott's constant presence. But that relief was short-lived. Patricia, could you come here on the weekends and at least clean the bathroom and kitchen? His new place is just over an hour's flight from home. It's not a long-term relocation, so he rented a place on a monthly lease. But apparently, his obsession with cleanliness was now in full force there as well. And of course, he still refused to clean up himself. Even I, usually kind and patient, started feeling fed up. What? Just to clean? You can handle that yourself. Of course I don't want to. I already get home late on weekdays, and I'm tied up with work on weekends too. So I can't come home. Just come over on the weekend for the day and clean up. But my weekends are precious after working full-time all week, too. Your job isn't that important. Have you ever thought about the pressure I'm under? Just come and clean. You don't need to stay just a day trip. All right. And so, Scott would go on about it endlessly over the phone until I agreed to come. If he didn't have time to spend at home, wouldn't it stay clean? But eventually, I gave in and began traveling over an hour by plane each weekend to his new place, though it felt like such a waste of money. Naturally, I was expected to cover the travel costs myself, and even though I was doing him a favor, Scott treated my trips to clean as something entirely expected, never a word of appreciation. Things got worse when he stopped being there even on the weekends I came to clean. If he'd called me over because he wanted to see me, I might have understood. Could he really be that busy? Every weekend, though, I would spend hours traveling to Scott's rental, clean up thoroughly, and then spend hours traveling back. I'd become a long-distance housekeeper, with no pay, and only expenses. Scott, can I stop the weekend cleaning now? Or at least can you cover my travel expenses? It's a bit too much to keep expecting me to do this. I had my own career and responsibilities too, and my job was meaningful enough that losing half my weekend to cleaning his apartment left me no time to refresh myself. Plus, covering travel costs each week was getting hard. When I explained this over the phone, Scott exploded in anger. Are you serious? After everything I do, you're saying I should pay just to have my wife do her basic duty of cleaning? It's not a basic duty. Shut up, or are you trying to force me to live in a filthy place and get sick? What a worthless wife. I'll take legal action. And where exactly are you going to report this? Scott had always been a bit unusual, but he had never raised his voice this way before. Now, he kept shouting into the phone, saying things like, "You're a disgrace to all housewives," and "You're finished as a woman." He went on and on in an intense tone about how unattractive and inadequate a wife I was. When the call finally ended, I was left completely numb. It was as if my soul had drifted out of my body and was watching me from above. That's how shocking it was. Why? Why is he telling me to push myself even more when I'm already going beyond my limits? I was still in disbelief over how much Scott had changed since we got married, and even more so after he moved away for work. Despite my frustration, I continued visiting as his housekeeper for 3 months, cowed by his constant anger. Weekends became something I dreaded. Then one day, as I finished work, a call came through on my smartphone from a number I didn't recognize. Nervously, I answered, only to find it was a hospital. Scott had been rushed to the emergency room, they said. Shocked, I left straight from work, boarding a plane with my tired body barely keeping up. The hospital staff only mentioned that Scott had fallen in the bathroom, and that they would explain everything when I arrived. All they said was, the patient was crying and asking for his wife. If he can still speak, maybe his life isn't in danger. But why was he in the shower at that hour? He'd always said he couldn't get home before midnight because of work. Was Scott so severely injured that he had to call for me, crying? Or had he, just by chance, managed to get home early that night, only to have this unfortunate accident? With questions swirling in my mind, I hurried through the night streets to reach this unfamiliar hospital. Once at the reception desk, I informed them I was a family member, and they directed me to Scott's room. To my surprise, he was in a private room. Is he really in such bad condition? Rushing over to his private room, I noticed the door was closed, and standing outside were 2 women. One was flashy and dressed quite extravagantly, while the other was an older woman, both looking rather annoyed. Excuse me, I'm the patient's wife. May I ask who you are? As I cautiously approached, the flashy woman glanced at me, her heavy perfume filling the air, and gave me a sharp look. So you're Scott's wife. You've got a lot of nerve showing up here so casually. And dressed so plainly, too. Her bleached hair was piled high and curled in exaggerated loops. Casually, plainly dressed. But this isn't the time to be worrying about such comments. Just who are you two? This is my daughter, Donna, and the future Mrs. Scott. The older woman shrieked before I could respond. Her shrill voice shocked me more than her words. This is a hospital. You know, we're supposed to be quiet here. But no, that wasn't the problem right now. I finally processed the content of the older woman's screaming declaration. I'm Scott's wife. What did you just say? As I stood there, completely bewildered, Donna stroked her belly over a shocking pink, tight-fitting dress. Well, I hate telling you before I tell Scott. But whatever. I'm pregnant with Scott's child, of course. What? I couldn't help but shout in disbelief, causing Donna's mother, Helen, to laugh mockingly. Quite a shock, huh? I heard you're already in your 30s. My Donna, on the other hand, is a vibrant 25. Naturally, Scott would want his child to be born to a young woman. That's right. So you should step aside gracefully and let me take over. Scott is already my husband and the father of my baby. There's no room for you anymore. This garishly dressed woman I had just met was claiming to be pregnant with Scott's child and insisted that he belonged to her. It was such an absurd situation that, strangely, I found myself feeling more calm than ever, perhaps for the first time since we married. I finally turned toward Donna and her mother with a composed expression. I understand now what's going on between you and my husband, Scott. So where exactly did you two meet? I work as a receptionist at Scott's workplace. It's a dream job. You know, one that only beautiful, chosen women can get. That's rather an outdated perspective. Clearly, Donna was very proud of her job, and she looked enraged when I pointed out her old-fashioned view. Glaring, she raised her voice, full of irritation. You're the outdated one. Look at yourself, messy and unfashionable. You're done as a woman. Scott said himself that you're worth nothing more than doing his cleaning. Worth nothing more than cleaning. Yes. While you were busy scrubbing Scott's place spotless, we were living it up in luxury hotels. Every weekend. Look here. See this, our selfie. Aren't we the cutest? Donna smugly thrust her smartphone in my face. On the screen was a picture of her lying in bed next to Scott, both smiling intimately. Luxury hotels every weekend. And that's what you're doing while I'm called in, without even reimbursing my travel costs, to clean your place? So you'd been lying about being busy with work. Scott, my whole body shook with fury. Seeing this, Donna and her mother exchanged triumphant looks. This is the difference between a woman who's truly loved and one who's nothing more than a housekeeper. Maybe it's good you finally realized your own low worth. That's right. You have no chance against my sweet Donna. So hurry up and divorce him. Time for you to make your exit. To be betrayed by Scott and then mocked by a woman who's been laughing behind my back. I can never forgive this. I'll make Scott, who wasn't loyal to the marriage he committed to, and these morally bankrupt people who took someone else's husband, regret this. My anger, already intense, reached new heights. Calmly harnessing that fury, I met the mother and daughter's gaze firmly. Fine, I have no need for a husband who can easily betray his family. Donna, you're welcome to have him. I'll even gift trap him for you. What's with that attitude? Sounds like sour grapes to me. Scott told me that his wife has no charm at all and is just exhausting to be around. I'm the only one who can give him peace. Even as I was ready to hand over this worthless husband, Donna still seemed determined to take shots at me, desperate to assert her dominance. I felt a final thread of patience snap. Scott, I'm coming in. We'll start the divorce proceedings right away. I stormed into the hospital room, finding Scott huddled under his blanket, trembling. Had he overheard? Even if he had, it was utterly pathetic. Hiding now is pointless. I yanked off the blanket to reveal Scott curled up, looking up at me with pleading eyes. An act like that from a traitor is just too much, especially for a man your age. Patricia, why are you being so cold? I've got this huge bump on my head. Don't you feel bad for me at all? Oh, the bump. Want me to give you a few more? I shot back. Yet here he was, trying to play the helpless act. This time, Scott shrunk and visibly shook. They're going to give me a CD for my brain tomorrow, just to be sure. Look, I'm even in this uncomfortable hospital gown. Show some sympathy, will you? He whined, looking pitifully at me. I was about to sigh when Donna and Helen burst into the room, pushing past me to take Scott's hand. Oh, my poor Scott. Donna will nurse you back to health with all her love. What a devoted daughter. I'm just so proud of her. Helen chimed in, both of them tearing up. What a show. Did this hospital room serve as a stage where they could cast me as the evil queen, with them rescuing the prince? Maybe if I left, they'd break into a song. But before I could get my answer, the scene abruptly changed. Scott suddenly recoiled, turning pale as he pulled his hand away from Donna. Stop, don't touch me. The prince, or rather, Scott, now reached for a sanitizing wipe from his bag and frantically scrubbed the hand she'd touched. Scott, what's wrong? You're always happy to see me. Say I'm cute and give me a hug. I've been so worried about you. There's no way I'm doing that. Don't come near me. Patricia, please get them out of here. Scott's face contorted in terror, turning this play into an instant horror show. Even I was stunned, watching Scott's reaction alongside Donna. Get them out. Well, Donna here is now pregnant supposedly with your child as a result of your betrayal. I'll be divorcing you, so feel free to start your new family with her, I stated calmly. To my surprise, a look of utter despair spread across Scott's face. Pregnant? No way. It can't be my kid, right? You must have been seeing other men, right? Please, tell me it's not mine. Since we were in a hospital, I was about to tell everyone to keep their voices down, but Donna burst into tears, her voice even louder than Scott's. This is awful. How could you think of me as some loose woman? I even invited you to my home instead of our usual hotel, just to announce my pregnancy and talk about our wedding plans. Donna is devoted. Helen chimed in. This is my first time meeting you, but if you're the one my daughter has chosen, I'd be happy to support your marriage after your divorce. Patricia's already said she'll bow out gracefully, so just come to me. Leave behind your life with this older woman and start fresh with me, the young, beautiful woman you truly deserve. Yes, Scott. Donald even has a baby on the way. A child Patricia was too old to give you. What more could you possibly want? They weren't pulling any punches, and Scott's silence, without a word of defense for me, left me beyond disgusted. That's enough. I've had it. To be insulted like this by strangers I just met today is more than I can stand. And finding out that Scott has treated me like his personal housekeeper. We're getting divorced immediately, so I can finally leave this absurd situation behind. I raised my voice to match theirs, and Scott looked utterly stunned, his shoulders sagging in disbelief. Divorce? You and me? No, I don't want that. I was single until I was 40. If I get divorced, it'll be the end of the line for me. I'll be a complete loser with no one. Oh, I think you'll be just fine. You have a new bride right here, don't you? I'm sure you enjoyed calling me over to clean, without even covering my transportation, while you enjoyed your weekends at luxury hotels with her. Now you can keep living that life full-time. Next to me, Donna and Helen beamed, reveling in the scene. Yes, you have a bright future ahead. My house is just me and Mom, so once we're married, we can all live together. With a baby on the way, having Mom around will be so helpful. Yes, Scott, our house is fully paid off, no mortgage, no rent. You can join us without a worry in the world. No way. Absolutely not. Tell me the pregnancy is a lie. There's no way I'm living with Donna's family. Because, Scott blurted, looking pale. He took a shaky breath. as if mustering the courage to reveal some dark secret. Donna's house is a trash heap. It doesn't meet even basic health standards. Spending a single day there would make anyone sick. Donna and Helen's faces went blank with shock. What? My house? That's just not true. How rude. Isn't that right, Mom? Absolutely, Scott. We clean every Christmas, and we use disposable plates and forks, throwing them away only once they're falling apart. It's quite sanitary. The two said this in complete seriousness, and I could imagine Scott's horror. I finally understood why he had frantically pushed away Donna's hand. I can't believe this. I want to erase any memory of ever being in that place, he shrieked. Oh, stop being so dramatic, Scott. We live just fine, and you'll get used to it in no time. I will never get used to it. Patricia, listen to me. Scott reached out to me, tearfully clinging to my attention. While I was eating at Donna's house, she spilled beer all over me. I went to shower, and guess what I found in the bathroom? I didn't care, and didn't want to know, but Scott seemed desperate to get it out. Those things with 8 legs, crawling all over. And it wasn't just one. How could they let it get that bad? The bathroom, the place that should be the cleanest part of the house. Oh, you mean, spider? I murmured, barely able to mask my disinterest. Don't say it out loud. It's horrifying. When I started to respond, Scott interrupted me with a loud yell. I was about to roll my eyes, but then I remembered that Scott has always had an intense fear of bugs. I even chuckled, recalling our early dates, like the time we were at an open cafe, and a large spider crawled across the table. Scott had let out a scream like tearing silk and begged me to save him. Back then, I thought it was endearing because I'd convinced myself I had to look for any positives to make marriage work. Now the memory only made me more irritated. I was so freaked out by those things that I slipped, fell in the bathroom, and hit my head. I will never set foot in that horror house again, Scott said, still shaking. Donna crossed her arms, clearly annoyed. Horror house? That's just rude. I hardly even go into the bathroom twice a week, so why should I bother cleaning it? Only twice a week. Donna, that can't be healthy. I chimed in, unable to help myself, even though I thought it was pointless. What's so unhealthy about it? I've been doing it my whole life, and I'm fine. People who are slaves to societal norms and waste money showering every day are the real fools, Donna said proudly, sharing a smug smile with her mom. Right, Mom. There are always people who look clean on the outside but don't shower, I muttered, feeling repulsed along with everyone else. Donna, however, was unfazed, twirling her hair around her finger with a pout. If I showered every day, it would ruin my hair. It's a pain to style it every morning. Plus, when I don't shampoo, it gives my hair a nice shine. Why would anyone shower every day? Shine. It's just greasy from all the oil, I snapped, already feeling exhausted by this absurdity. Meanwhile, Scott, who had caused this entire mess, covered his face in exaggerated despair. I can't believe it. How could I do that kind of thing with someone so dirty? You would have noticed the smell long before it got to that point, I pointed out, unable to resist. Donna always had perfume on. It had a strong, almost staining smell, but I assumed that was what expensive perfume was supposed to be like. I thought all front desk girls were clean. I thought I'd finally hit my stride, that I could brag about dating a younger woman. Scott had lost all composure and started blurting things that only worsened his situation. I even had to sign up for a matchmaking service and pay just to get married. That's humiliating. My friends all met their wives naturally. So why did I end up with a wife from a matchmaking service? Well, isn't that lovely of you to say? No mercy for you now, Scott. We're getting divorced immediately. Pack up all your things left in my house, and both you and Donna will be paying damages. I'll add up all the travel expenses I covered over the years and send the bill. Scott, realizing the amount would be steep, jumped out of the bed and clung to me, desperate. No, no. It's not like that, Patricia. I decided to cut things off with Donna the moment I saw her place. Right now, you're the most important person to me. Please don't make me a divorced man. Oh, you should be grateful I gave someone like you the chance to even have a marriage history. Scott looked at me with teary eyes, but I wasn't falling for it. His arrogant attitude and the way he treated me like a free housekeeper were things I'd never forgive. I don't mind if he has a divorce record. He'll still be the father of my baby, no matter how many times he's been divorced, Donna said cheerfully, rubbing her belly as she stood behind Scott for support. Scott shrieked, "Ah," and jumped away from her. I had no idea Donna was pregnant. It's not my kid. I love Patricia's clean kitchen and bathroom, the way mold and grime don't build up at all. It was troubling to think he appreciated me only for that, but Donna's shrill voice cut through before I could respond. Enough, I'm carrying your baby. How can you be so heartless? You should be pampering me, loving me. There's no way I can handle a messy woman with compensation debts. There's a level of too much that youth just can't cover, Scott snapped. And with that, the two of them began yelling insults at each other. Hot compensation debts of hundreds of thousands. I'll pay it off right away, Donna fired back. Hundreds of thousands. That's nowhere near enough. You exposed our relationship to Patricia. We're each facing millions in damages. What, millions each? Why didn't you tell me that up front? I never would have gotten involved with an old guy if I'd known. Old guy, you filthy woman. I'm the one who was deceived. Oh, please. You're such a clean freak old man. Scott and Donna seemed to have forgotten they were still in a hospital. Meanwhile, Helen was weeping and muttering, "How sad that Donna's getting treated like this even before marriage." I'd had enough. My ears could not bear any more of this ugliness, and I wanted no part of it. I needed to get out of here and find a good liar fast. I'm exhausted, so I'm leaving. You can talk to me through my lawyer. And don't come back to my house again. Because Scott, you yourself is the filthy one, I declared. The bickering stopped. Both traitors looked at me in shock. Wait, don't divorce me. Save me from this filthy mother and daughter. Scott pleaded. Yes, wait. I can pay millions. Please don't sue me, Donna cried, leaving them in a new wave of chaos. I walked right out of the hospital room. I could see a few nurses rushing from the nurses' station toward Scott's room, probably alerted by the noise. After a sigh of relief, I hurried to catch the last flight home. Once back, it was easy to pack up Scott's things. Since he was staying at the hospital, I didn't have to face him. I quickly shipped his belongings to the monthly rental apartment and felt a sense of gratitude that he had been living separately from me all along. Despite Scott's tantrums about not wanting to break up, I was able to engage a lawyer and move forward with the divorce and compensation claims. The story of Scott being dumped by his receptionist and wife quickly spread at his workplace. Apparently, he was effectively demoted. It seemed that his colleagues and juniors were avoiding him, making it difficult for him to work. Yet he couldn't quit due to the compensation he owed me. So he trudged into work every day with a gloomy expression. In his personal life, he reluctantly married Donna, but their days were filled with constant arguments. They had to live in Donna's family home due to their financial situation. But whenever Scott attempted to clean, either Donna or Helen would get in his way. Since Scott wasn't exactly good at cleaning, their home remained a mess. While living with Donna and her daughter, Scott screamed daily alongside insects, losing weight by the day. As for Donna, having become Scott's wife, she promptly quit her job, saying, "I'm pregnant." The constant arguments with Scott led to a chaotic home life, and when the baby was born, the situation became even more tumultuous. The neighbors eventually reported their concerns for the baby's well-being. After a series of twists and turns following that report, the baby ended up being raised by responsible relatives. I heard they were growing up in a clean and peaceful environment, which truly relieved me. However, without the baby, Donna reportedly became obsessed with the delusion that her child had been taken away from her. Their home grew increasingly filthy, and they frequently screamed at each other late into the night, leading to numerous calls to the authorities from neighbors. Ultimately, it seemed that Donna, her mother, and the increasingly impoverished Scott decided to move out together. Yet, Donna's available funds were nowhere near enough to cover the compensation owed to me. Helen helped out, but the family was left completely broke. Their moving expenses were minimal, and they managed to rent an old studio apartment. There, Donna reportedly wore a tattered, flashy dress while holding down Scott, who was desperately trying to escape. "Good for you, being loved," I thought, with a hint of sarcasm. As for me, I found myself thinking of returning to the matchmaking service, undeterred by my past experiences. However, before doing so, a friend mentioned they wanted to introduce me to someone. The person I was introduced to was a charming guy a little younger than me. He took his work seriously and had many friends. More importantly, he took an immediate liking to me when we first met and actively pursued me. Initially apprehensive due to the trauma Scott had inflicted, I eventually decided to start dating him. Unlike Scott, he was calm and composed, and after a year of dating, he encouraged me to marry him. Thanks to Scott's demands, my cleaning skills had become almost professional. My current husband boasts to everyone about how perfect I am at both work and housekeeping. It's a bit embarrassing, but above all, it makes me happy to see him so pleased. A few months into our marriage, I was thrilled to find out I was expecting a long-awaited baby. With Scott, I never wanted children, but now everything felt different. From the moment I became pregnant, my husband banned me from doing any housework and insisted I rest. I couldn't be more grateful for his support. I truly believe that with him, no matter what challenges we face, we can cherish and nurture each other as we grow old together. Having witnessed Scott's disastrous personality helped me develop a discerning eye when it comes to men. More importantly, it allowed me to appreciate the incredible qualities of my current husband right away.
From now on, my daughter and her husband will live in this house, so you need to leave. Suddenly, I, Rosa, was told by my MIL Loretta to leave the house. To add insult to injury, my husband Arnold handed me a piece of paper. Huh? What's this? You'll understand once you see it. It's a divorce application. Originally, this house was purchased with my savings. Arnold, who only works part-time, couldn't possibly afford it with his monthly income. Despite Loretta and Arnold wanting to live together, I complied with their request. Why do I have to suffer like this? Well, all right. I understand. As I said this, the two of them were overjoyed. Now, at last, the nuisance is gone from this house. I didn't expect her to leave so easily. These people are definitely going to hell. Just you wait, I'll make sure you two are the only ones who won't have it good. 3 years ago, I married Arnold, who I initially met at the same trading company. After getting married, I resigned, but there was a reason for this. While working as an employee at the trading company, I often drew illustrations as a hobby and posted them on social media. At some point, my work caught attention on social media, and I started receiving many requests for illustrations, making up to $10,000 a month at times. I've finally started to make some good money recently. Really? That's great. Hope you can keep earning steadily. While saying this, Arnold supported me in continuing my illustration work remotely, and our married life was going quite smoothly. 5 years into our marriage, just when I started thinking about buying our own home, Arnold was laid off. It was due to personnel downsizing amid the recent economic downturn. I've worked so hard for the company, and this is how they repay me. I'm sorry. I didn't know what to say to Arnold, who was apologizing to me in tears. All I could do was to stay by his side until he calmed down. A month later, Arnold started a part-time night job at a nearby grocery store, but his income drastically decreased, earning only about $700 a month. I have to work even harder. Since then, I've taken on even more projects, and our savings have significantly increased. With this much, we can afford our own home. Another year passed, and I decided to consult Arnold about buying our dream home. Hey, should we buy our own home soon? But, I don't earn much. Leave that part to me. We've saved enough, it's all good. Arnold, looking somewhat apologetic, responded to my confident declaration. Well, I know this might sound strange to ask, but could we get a house where my mom can live with us too? Dad's passed away, and more importantly, her house is getting old. She even mentioned that if we're building a house, we should live together. Arnold's father had passed away from a heart attack when Arnold was in elementary school. I was grateful to Loretta and understood Arnold's feelings towards her. All right. Got it. Let's respect Loretta's and your wishes and get a house where we can all live together. And so, Arnold, Loretta, and I visited a house builder and signed the contract for our dream home. The interior was largely influenced by Loretta's and Arnold's preferences. I would have preferred it in my own style, but oh well. If the two of them are happy, that's all that matters. That's what I thought, never imagining I'd be betrayed in such a manner. About 10 months after signing for the house, it was finally completed. I even set up a study for work, and it's so comfortable, my illustration work is going well. Rosa, thank you for building such a wonderful home. It's absolutely fine. I'm always grateful for your help. Loretta seemed really pleased too, constantly thanking me, and I was truly glad to see her happy. Life in the new home was smooth at first, but after 3 months, Loretta's attitude towards me changed. Hey, can you clean my room a bit? I'm a bit busy right now. Busy? But you're just cooped up in your room doing nothing, right? Arnold's been complaining that you don't work properly. Not working properly? What has Arnold been seeing to say such a thing? After all, this house was built because I worked hard and earned the money. I wanted to retort to Loretta, but thinking that perhaps Arnold hadn't said such a thing, I endured and reluctantly decided to clean her room as she asked. While I was cleaning, Loretta didn't help at all and just relaxed comfortably. After about an hour of cleaning, when I was nearly done, I spoke to Loretta. Oh. Finally finished, I see. I'll be expecting this regularly from now on, thank you. Okay. I was too appalled to say anything. Why should I have to act like your maid? Loretta's remarks were infuriating, but what angered me more was the thought of Arnold. Did he really say I don't work? I decided to confront him about it at dinner. By the way, I heard from Loretta that you've been complaining about me not working? Well, I did mention it a bit. My sister is working hard at the factory, part-time. Sweating it out to earn her keep, and you're always at home, right? Just seemed a bit unfair, you know? Arnold has an older sister named Olive, 2 years his senior. Olive has a 3-year-old child and gets along well with her husband. Our relationship is pretty good, exchanging messages occasionally. Still, I couldn't believe Arnold actually harbored such thoughts. Hearing Arnold's true feelings left me in shock. I thought he was on my side. From the next day, Loretta's treatment of me became even harsher. It started with just cleaning, but gradually escalated to give me a massage and make me some coffee, treating me like a complete maid. Arnold, as usual, had no intention of looking for a full-time job. Hey, isn't it about time you find a full-time job? Quiet. You're earning well, right? Then it's fine. Between Arnold's refusal to listen and Loretta's daily demands, my mental state was reaching its limit. Olive, I'm at my breaking point. Please help me. Are you okay? After enduring this life for 3 months, I sought help from Olive, who acted promptly and sternly addressed Arnold and Loretta. Thanks to Olive, the harassment subsided for about 2 weeks. Then, one evening, as I was washing the dishes after dinner, Arnold said he needed to talk. What about? Just wait. I've called Mom, so sit down and wait. What on earth am I about to be told? I waited on the living room sofa for Loretta and Arnold, feeling frightened. Sorry to keep you waiting. Arnold said you wanted to talk. As I said this, Loretta and Arnold exchanged glances and smirked maliciously. Then Loretta slowly started to speak. This house, it's going to be Olive's family living here. So could you leave? LOL. What? What are they talking about all of a sudden? Confused by the situation, I was just shocked by Loretta's words. Hey, you listening to Mom's words? LOL and this. Huh? What's this? Arnold handed me a piece of paper. When I unfolded the half-folded paper, I realized it was a divorce application. I had no idea what Loretta and Arnold were up to. You see? It's a divorce application. Arnold watched my reaction with a laugh. But why must I go through this? I worked hard to buy this house with my own money. What's going on with you two all of a sudden? I appreciate that you bought this house. But the thing is, Arnold has been suffering because you earn more than him. A person who can't show respect to her husband doesn't belong in this house. So, we thought of letting Olive live here instead. Yeah, that's right. You've been having it too good, and honestly, I've been irritated. It's not like I wanted to quit my job, but you kept nagging me to find work. I was sick of it. I see. So, that's why they've been so harsh to me. I'm utterly dismayed by such childish reasoning. Since I bought the house with my earnings, I wanted to tell them they should be the ones to leave. But I'm tired of dealing with them. Ha. Okay, I understand. So, I should leave, right? Wow. That was quick. With you gone, the nuisance is out of the way, and we can live comfortably. When I agreed to leave, the two of them were ecstatic, holding hands and rejoicing. If that's how they want it, I'll show them. Just you watch. I'll make sure they get what they deserve. At that moment, I decided to seek revenge against the two of them. The next morning, I packed the bare minimum and left the house. Loretta and Arnold saw me off, but they didn't seem to feel sad at all. Make sure you file the divorce papers properly, will you? LOL. Just thinking about not having to see your face anymore is refreshing. We'll take good care of this house, so don't worry. They said whatever they wanted. Don't worry, I won't let you have your way any longer. After leaving the house, I immediately called Olive. Hello? Olive? Hello? What's up? Well, actually, I told Olive that I had been kicked out of the house by Loretta and Arnold. I also mentioned that they said Olive's family would be moving into the house in my place. What? What's going on? Can we meet and talk about this right now? It seemed like Olive was hearing about this for the first time. As she suggested, I headed to a nearby cafe to discuss the details. 5 minutes after I arrived at the cafe, Olive entered. Sorry for the sudden call. No, it's totally fine. Besides, I don't have a home to return to anymore. I said it a bit self-deprecatingly, and Olive's expression became serious. About that. I haven't heard anything about this from Mom or Arnold, and I honestly had no idea. My husband and I were actually planning to build a house somewhere else. Really? You didn't know? I had no idea. This was surprising. So Arnold and Loretta lied about Olive moving in, just to kick me out. Well, then there's no need to leave that house to him. I'm relieved to hear that. I was actually thinking about selling the house. Even if you were really moving in. This settles it. I'll make sure those two don't get to enjoy it. Yeah, those two have gotten way too cocky. Rosa, you do what you think is best. I definitely can't defend them after all this. It felt good to talk to Olive. I'm glad I could talk to you, Olive. Thank you. After leaving the cafe, I went to the courthouse and first submitted the divorce papers. Then, I headed to a real estate agent and told them I wanted to sell the land and the house, handing over the deed. Those two, unaware of this, are probably living carelessly. Every time I think of their faces, I get infuriated. According to the real estate agent, due to the good location and the newness of the building, a buyer should be found quickly. Please contact me when it's sold. I'll be staying at my parents' house for a while. I left the rest to the real estate agent and went back to my parents' house. When I returned to my parents' house after an hour's drive, my parents were there to welcome me. But they were very surprised as their daughter had returned home so suddenly. 2 weeks later, I received a phone call. It seems there was a prospective buyer for the house. They wanted to view the house as soon as possible, and it was scheduled for the upcoming weekend. Can I join you on that day? As a former resident, I think I can guide them through every corner of the house more thoroughly. When I proposed this to the real estate agent, they immediately contacted the prospective buyer, and the reply was, "We would appreciate that very much." Ah, your happy life is about to end. I can't stop smiling, imagining their panicked faces. And then, the day of the viewing arrived. As the real estate agent opened the front door, Arnold rushed out in a panic. Who are you? I'll call the police. Arnold yelled angrily, which intimidated the real estate agent, but I spoke up from behind. Don't worry about him. He has no right to say such things. Huh? Rosa? What's going on? Ignoring Arnold, I led the prospective buyer and the real estate agent into the house. So, this is the living room. While I was guiding them through the house, Arnold came to interfere with us, raising his voice again. Hey! Wait! What the hell is going on here? Hearing the commotion, Loretta also arrived. Ah, this is so annoying. What are you doing here? I'll call the police. The police? Huh, go ahead and call them. This house isn't yours anymore. I'm really sorry for the disturbance during the viewing. I'll just go and talk to those two, so please feel free to look around. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. With that, I took Arnold and Loretta outside to explain the situation. Arnold's face was red with anger. You were talking about a viewing or something, but why is our house being viewed? Yeah. It's shocking that you just showed up like this. They still don't understand the situation. Then, I'll tell them everything. Our house. What nonsense are you talking about? Listen, I bought this house. My name is the only one on the deed. Also, I talked to Olive. And the story about Olive's family moving into this house was a lie, wasn't it? That was, the plan changed suddenly. That happens all the time. Do you think that excuse will work? I spoke directly with Olive and confirmed it. The story you told, Olive had never heard of it before. As I said this to them, they bit their lower lips and became speechless. Also, I'll tell you who those people are. I sold this house. So now, the rights to this house belong neither to me nor to you, but to the real estate agency. That's why there are prospective buyers viewing the house today. Do you understand now? But that's so selfish. What about where we will live? I don't know about that. Moreover, if you don't leave soon, you might be reported to the police for trespassing, you know? As I spoke coldly, Arnold and Loretta began apologizing to me with faces that looked like they were about to cry. Don't say such harsh things. Don't abandon us. You know how little I make each month, right? I can't even live properly with that. Look, let's call off the divorce and live together again. Yeah, I think that's best. Such rotten people. I found myself slapping Arnold across the face in a fit of anger. Stop being so spoiled! Who was it that initiated the divorce? Wasn't it you? And isn't your low income because you've been too lazy to look for a job until now? And Loretta, aren't you too convenient, always pampering Arnold and trying to kick me out of the house? Let me tell you, I have no intention of taking care of either of you ever again, and I will never forgive you. Now, choose whether you want to pack your things and leave immediately or if you want me to call the police. I unleashed all my pent-up feelings, panting from the outburst. I'm sorry. We're truly sorry. Whether they were intimidated by me or not, the two of them hastily went back inside the house. Within 20 minutes, they emerged with their belongings and ran off somewhere without looking back. They were truly troublesome. They had the audacity to live off me without any gratitude and expected to continue doing so. They'd better live their lives in desperation from now on. I'm very sorry for the inconvenience. It's all fine now. I don't think those two will ever appear in this house again, so please rest assured. After seeing off the two, I apologized to the prospective buyer and the real estate agent and continued with the viewing. 2 weeks later, I received a call. The sale of the house was officially finalized. Finally, I was able to sever ties with that house filled with nothing but bitter memories. Phew. I can finally relax. Just as I was thinking this, I received a call from Olive. Hi, long time no see. How have you been? Long time no see. Oh, about that house, it's been successfully sold. Really? That's great. We had a light conversation for a while, but then I started wondering what Arnold and Loretta were up to. By the way, what are those two doing now? Oh, they're living together in a cheap and dingy apartment. Arnold is still only working part-time at the grocery store. It seems like he's started to seriously look for a job, but at his age, it's tough to get hired. They're making so little that Mom is also working a part-time job stocking shelves at the supermarket. Considering everything, Getting a divorce might have been the right decision for you. Olive was right. If I had continued living with them, my burden would have only increased. Haha, lol, that might be true, lol, I'd like to keep in touch with you, Olive. Is it okay if I call you occasionally? Really? That would be great. Please do. Let's go out for lunch sometime with my child. And with that, the phone call ended. I guess it suits me best to live my life alone, doing what I like. For now, I think I'll steer clear of marriage and relationships. Agriculture, huh? Sounds poor. Just completely mismatched with our family. My future mother-in-law said to me during a family meeting. I was well aware that my fiancé was the heir to a prestigious company. And I thought I understood what it meant to become his wife, how challenging it could be. But the words of my future mother-in-law were more cutting than I expected. She looked down upon my grandparents, who raised me, as mere country farmers. The arrogant future mother-in-law always stayed true to herself. This did not change even during the family meeting we had with my grandpa. However, Emily, haven't you realized? The shocking past revealed by my future father-in-law. Hearing this, the pride of my future mother-in-law was shattered. My life has been a whirlwind in the first half. Now as an adult, I sometimes feel that way. My name is Serena, I'm 27. As a child, after losing my parents one after the other, my grandparents raised me. My dad passed away from illness in my first year. And my mom suddenly disappeared in a car accident when I was in 4th grade. I somewhat understood my dad's death because others told me, but I fully comprehended my mom's. Perhaps due to the difference in my age, I had somehow moved on from my dad's death. But accepting my mom's took much longer. Supported by my grandparents, I believe I've overcome the sadness of being without my parents as I grew up. And they gave me unlimited love. To ensure I didn't struggle, they put me through college, always prioritizing me. I'm currently working as a professional in a company. In this industry-leading and long-established company, there are various people. But I never imagined I'd meet the president's son. Let alone date him. Serena, would you date me? Tyler was one of the employees seconded from a subsidiary to the head office. Only a few people in the company knew Tyler was the president's son. I didn't know until Tyler and I started dating and he confided in me. Dad said to work at the head office, but I wanted to see every part of the company for the future. Really? I believe in the necessity of starting from the bottom, even if it's not quite apprenticeship. Tyler and I participated in various projects together. He always worked more earnestly than anyone, taking on even the smallest tasks. When needed, he could lead and inspire the team. So kind, yet strong and dependable. Marry me. On our 2nd anniversary. At the aquarium, our first date spot, Tyler knelt down and proposed to me. It was a classic proposal. I'd be honored. With happiness and a bit of shyness, I accepted his proposal. When I told my grandparents, they cried with joy. Serena is getting a family again. It's like gaining another grandchild. My grandparents were looking forward to meeting Tyler. Having the family grow seemed like their greatest joy. I lost my parents, but my grandparents had lost their child. Our home lost its liveliness, and all of us tried unconsciously not to be weighed down by sorrow. For our family, my marriage was a very bright topic. I planned to bring Tyler home to meet my grandparents soon, but first, we had a family meeting with Tyler's family. Tyler's parents' home is, in essence, the president's house. That alone made me nervous. Moreover, the house we visited was magnificent from the entrance, and the interior was spacious and beautiful. Nice to meet you. I'm Serena. Oh, so you're the one. Serena, is it? Emily, my future mother-in-law, was cold from the beginning. Or rather, she had no intention of welcoming me in the first place. Emily is the president's wife. Going back in time, she was also a president's daughter. As Tyler told me, our company was originally founded by Emily's ancestors. And her grandfather and father had been presidents in succession. Tyler's dad, Kent, the current president, took over the company. I'll do my best too. But in our house, Mom's dominance always prevails. Dad and I are overshadowed at home. Tyler had hinted at Emily's nature beforehand, but the real thing was more impactful. Emily eloquently spoke about her family history. How she was raised in a distinguished family, maintaining her dignity. And how much effort she put into Tyler's education as a mother. Tyler attended the same elite school as me and our entire family. Yes. Not just yes, Serena. Do you understand what that means? Hey, Emily. Kent, be quiet. Shrugging off Kent's attempt to calm her, Emily glared at me. Do you understand the value of the school that Tyler and I attended, Serena? The kind of privileged people who should attend there? What do you think? Mom! Tyler also stood up, leaning towards Emily. But Emily, unfazed, turned her criticism towards Tyler. Tyler, you had such a wonderful environment and connections. How could you choose someone like her as a marriage partner? Hey, that's rude to Serena. Rude? Tyler, I'm disappointed. After everything we've given you. Enough about the house, the family, please. Yes, it's supposed to be a happy occasion. You all be quiet. What was supposed to be a meeting for the upcoming marriage turned into a family argument. I couldn't intervene, and in the end, Kent somehow managed to calm Emily down. On our way out, Kent desperately apologized to me. It's okay. I'm sorry for troubling you today. No, it's not your fault. It's our fault. The disappointment I felt seemed less than the shock Tyler and Kent experienced. Kent approved of the marriage, but Emily only reluctantly accepted it, not welcoming me. Whenever I joined family meals as a fiancé, Emily would sigh and express her discontent. Once, she asked about my family. I told her the truth, not hiding anything. How I lost my parents early and was raised by my grandparents. How we overcame sadness together, the three of us, supporting each other. How my grandparents worked hard in agriculture so I wouldn't have to struggle. I am nothing but grateful to my grandparents. I believe my parents are watching over us, but the love I received from my grandparents who were actually there for me. I still remember it strongly. I conveyed my feelings. The rest was up to how Emily felt about it. I hoped she would understand, even a little, but I was naive. Agriculture, huh? Sounds poor. Just completely mismatched with our family. Mom! How could you say such a thing? That's right. Emily, how far will you go in belittling people? Belittle? I'm just telling the truth. Emily and Kent argued as they used to. Kent apologized to me while scolding Emily. But that wouldn't make Emily back down. The meal ended in a heavy atmosphere. Serena. If you're fed up, you can leave me. Marrying me means dealing with Emily. I can't cut ties with her because of the company. Think about it while you still can. Hearing Emily mock my grandparents and seeing Tyler with such a tired, dark expression left me at a loss for words. But I managed to respond. It's okay. I feel sorry for Grandpa and Grandma, but I'm fine with this. Really? Tyler and I continued to encourage each other as we moved towards our marriage. I knew we had to meet with Grandpa and Grandma soon, but I wasn't looking forward to it. What should I do? As I thought about this on my way home, my face must have shown my distress.
What's wrong? Why such a gloomy face? Did something happen with Tyler?
Grandma saw right through me, and I had no choice but to open up about everything. I told them about Emily's personality and what she said about me and my grandparents, leaving them in silence.
Well, I suppose we should meet them once. Let's have a dinner soon.
Grandpa finally spoke up. He instructed me to arrange the time. But he insisted on a high-end restaurant. I was puzzled, but Grandpa just laughed.
Don't worry, I'll pay for the meal.
That's all Grandpa said in the end. On the day of the dinner, Grandpa arrived alone. Grandma, shocked by Emily's behavior, refused to meet her. Grandpa and I waited for Tyler and his parents, but Tyler messaged that he and Kent would be late. That meant Grandpa and I would have to deal with Emily first. Just the thought gave me a headache. As I held my head, Emily arrived, greeted us curtly, and sat down. She looked at me and Grandpa with a very displeased expression.
You didn't have to match our family with a high-end restaurant. A lower-class place would have sufficed.
No.
It would be rude to meet for the first time in such a place.
Oh, I made you worry.
But I wonder how long you can keep this up. It's harsh to expect such standards from country farmers. Well, we prioritize living a healthy and honest life over money.
Grandpa faced Emily calmly and firmly, without changing his attitude or behavior. Emily seemed displeased and spat out sarcastic comments and irritation towards Grandpa.
Sorry for keeping you waiting.
Tyler finally showed up. Kent followed him. Kent started to say something but stopped when he locked eyes with Grandpa.
Ah. Hey, you two. Why apologize to these people? If we make them wait, that's how it should be treated. Hey, Emily.
Kent's lips trembled, and his face turned pale with cold sweat.
What now? Another opinion from you? No. Emily, don't you realize? Eh?
As Tyler and I watched in surprise, Kent deeply bowed to Grandpa.
Chairman, I deeply apologize for my wife's numerous rudeness. Please forgive us. No need, Chairman is a title from the past. President, today's not about that. What? What is it? Quiet. It's not what? This man was once the chairman of a corporation that saved our company from a crisis.
Huh?
What? I didn't know that. Emily has always been a haughty lady.
Kent remembered calling Grandpa chairman, but Grandpa had once managed several companies. By the time I was a child, he had become a farmer, and according to Grandma, he had wanted to retire early from being a businessman. I had no idea how significant a businessman Grandpa had been. But according to Kent, Grandpa was a wealthy and well-known chairman of a famous company. Back then, the company I work for was on the brink of bankruptcy under Emily's father's presidency. With no hope for a loan from the bank, the company was saved by Grandpa's company, where he was the chairman and also a business partner. Emily turned pale and stiffened at Kent's words.
Let's have a pleasant dinner today, as a start to our future relationship.
With Grandpa's smile and words, the tense dinner began. We ate cheerfully, without showing any irritation. Tyler and Kent seemed a bit dazed, but occasionally smiled and chatted with Grandpa. Emily, however, kept her head down and barely moved her hands. The wedding preparations accelerated after the dinner. We set the wedding date and planned the ceremony and reception. Marrying a company heir was more challenging than I thought. Emily was completely left out of the loop. After making a big mistake at the dinner, she seemed to have lost all her usual boldness. She was restless and awkward around me. When asked for her opinion in wedding discussions, she just shook her head. It was unimaginable she would ever be as aggressive as before.
Emily, I have something to discuss.
As I spoke, Emily tried to leave.
Wait, please. I'd like your advice on the dress design, color, and venue decoration.
It would be wrong for me to give my opinion.
Emily looked down, feeling worthless. That's not true. You're familiar with dresses and know about glamorous things.
That's no longer useful.
No, it's important to me. I want to talk about such things with you, Emily. I can't with my mom anymore.
I had given up on doing things with Mom a long time ago. It was the path I had to live, and there was nothing I could do about it, even if I hated it. But deep down, I had always hoped for it. A wish I never shared with Grandpa and Grandma. I knew it would only trouble them. But I could confide in Emily. Even with everything that had happened, she would become Mom when I married Tyler. I needed to face her properly first.
I'm sorry. I never tried to understand your situation, Serena.
Emily apologized with tears in her eyes. I silently nodded, taking her hand. Emily chose a beautiful red dress for me.
Serena, a softer shade suits you better than a dark red.
Emily, who knew about flowers, helped with the reception venue decoration. Tyler and Kent looked on happily as I, the planner, and Emily gathered together to discuss. I'm ready to live with my new family. Including my own life, I want to build happiness.